Thank you for that humble introduction. Good morning, everyone. My courtesy and respect to our education program supervisor in mathematics, Ma'am Zaida Abiera, to my fellow guest speakers, to the technical working group, and to my fellow senior high school mathematics teachers of General Santos City. Good morning, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Ma'am Abiera for giving me this favorable time to speak before you today. Ma'am, thank you for the trust and confidence. I welcome everyone today to the capacity building of senior high school mathematics teacher on the use of graphing calculator. 2 years ago, I and Ma'am Flora Medoliano was given a chance by the Department of Education, General Santos City Division to represent to a national training on capacity building for senior high school mathematics teachers in Cebu City. I will never forget the first time we re-echoed this training that was held last December 2021 and discussed the topics on the content about pre-calculus, basic calculus, and general mathematics. Today, we are going to learn how to use the graphing calculator to the content of statistics and probability. Specifically, I am assigned to discuss about hypothesis testing. Here are the objectives. At the end of the session, the participants will be able to determine the steps on hypothesis testing, illustrate how to use the graphing calculator, and draw the normal curve using the graphing calculator. Now everyone, grab your graphing calculator and let's begin. Now let's take a look in the curriculum guide of statistics and probability. Here we are going to focus on these learning competencies. Compute for the test statistics values of population mean and population proportion. Draw conclusion and solve problems involving tests of hypothesis. And as a teacher, we brought up to ensure that the standards are achieved. Now it's time to go over to the content of hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing is a formal way to make a decision based on statistical analysis. Hypothesis tests are tests about a population parameter. Hypothesis tests can be computed for the test statistics value of population mean and population proportion. There are two types of statistical hypothesis. First, we have the null hypothesis. States that there is no difference between two parameters. The second one is the alternative hypothesis. This states that there is a difference between two parameters. There are two possible decisions that we can make in hypothesis testing: reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. Rejecting the null hypothesis is a solid evidence to support or accept the alternative hypothesis. If we fail to reject the null hypothesis, this does not mean that we are accepting it to be true. We can only say that null hypothesis might be true, or we don't have any solid evidence to support the alternative hypothesis. There are two types of errors. Type 1 error: reject null hypothesis when null hypothesis is true. Type 2 error: do not reject null hypothesis when null hypothesis is false. Significance level is the probability of committing a type 1 error. It is denoted by alpha. Now let's move on to the tailed test. One tailed test indicates that the null hypothesis should be rejected when the test values is in the critical region on one side. Left one-tailed test when the critical region is in the left, and a right-tailed test when the critical region is on the right. The second is a two-tailed test. It is when the null hypothesis should be rejected when the test value is either of the two critical region on either sides of the distribution of the test value. Moving on, we are already familiar with the steps involved in hypothesis testing. Hypothesis tests for population mean are t-tests and z-tests. Here is the guide when to use z-test and t-test. Do you know the population standard deviation? If yes, then is the sample size above 30? If yes, then you use z-score. Then if you know the standard deviation, then your population is less than 30, then use t-test. Now, if you don't know the standard deviation, use immediately the t-score. T-statistics. A t-statistics is a random variable that is calculated from sample data and used in the hypothesis test. Z-test for z-statistics and t-test for t-statistics. Degrees of freedom. It is the number of independent values that a statistical analysis can estimate. It is also the number of values that are free to vary as you estimate parameters. Now, take a look of one sample z-test and t-test formula. Now everyone, let's grab our graphing calculator and let's begin solving. Here is sample problem number 1. Teacher conducted the same assessment for their students in two classes given below. Using the steps in hypothesis testing, A. Find the p-value for this t-test. B. Find if there is a difference of attainment of the two classes. Determine the results of a t-test at 10% significance level. In testing hypotheses, first we should know the null and alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis is there is no difference in attainment between the two classes, and the alternative hypothesis is there is a difference in attainment between the two classes. B. The chosen level of significance, alpha, is equal to 0.01 since the level of significance is 10%. C. We are going to use t-test since n is less than 30. Given the information and using your calculator, we will compute for the critical region. We will know that p-value is equal to 0.729. And as the conclusion, since p-value is bigger than the level of significance of 0.01, we fail to reject null hypothesis. This means that there is no difference in attainment between the two classes. Now let's demonstrate how to use the graphing calculator in solving problem number 1.
Statistical test for graphic display calculator. 2. T-test. Hi everyone! In this video, we are going to show how to calculate the t-value using the Casio FX-CZ50. Switch on your calculator, pressing the AC button. Caspar and Kaoru are math teachers, and they conducted the same assessment for their students. The assessment results are shown as follows. The teachers want to know if the students in Caspar's class performed better than Kaoru's class. The null hypothesis for this question will be, there's no difference in attainment between Caspar and Kaoru's classes. Alternative hypothesis will be, there's a difference in attainment between Caspar and Kaoru's classes. We are solving two questions. Question 1. Find the p-value for this t-test. Question 2. Find if there's a difference of attainment for the two classes. Press the menu button to open the main menu Then move the cursor or press 2 to choose the statistics function. Press F3 to select hypothesis test. Press F2 to select t-test. Make sure the cell cursor is at the top of list 1. Input Casper's class dataset into list 1. Press execute each time you enter data. Input Cowley's class dataset in list 2. Press F2 to select 2 sample and display the setting screen. Data needs to set to list, and you do this by pressing F1. This is a two-tailed test, thus select mu1 isn't equal to mu2. For list 1, press F1, 1, then execute to set Casper's class dataset. For list 2, press F1, 2, then execute to set Cowley's class dataset. Frequencies for both datasets need to be set 1, and you do this by pressing F1. Scrolling down the cursor to highlight the execute column. Press F1 to calculate. The answer for question 1, p-value is 0.73. The answer for question 2, p-value is 0.73, which is bigger than the significant level of 0.1. We accept the null hypothesis. There's a difference in attainment between Casper and Cowley's classes. Let's visualize this in graph. Press exit to go back a screen. Press F6 to display graph. Then select P by pressing F2. The p-value is displayed. In this video, we have shown how to calculate the t-value. Graphic display calculator as easy as pie.
Did you get the correct answer? I hope you're having fun. We already finished solving problem number 1 using graphing calculator. And that example is about t-tests. Did we get it right? Before going to the next problem, make sure we delete the previous calculation. And here's how to do it.
How to delete stored calculations.
Here's how to delete previous calculation. First, you need to press AC, then the menu, then scroll down and find the systems. Then press execute. After which, you will press F5 for reset. Then F6 for the next page. Then F2 for initialized all. Then F1 to say yes. Again F1 to say yes. Then wait 1 moment. And after which, just press exit. And voila, you will now be ready for the next calculations. are now ready for the next example.
Statistical test for graphic display calculator. Chi-squared test. Hi everyone! In this video, we are going to show how to calculate chi-square values using Casio FX-CZ50. Switch on your calculator, pressing AC button. The theme park Casioland has 32 rides. The most popular ride is called Gravity Shower. There's always a long queue, and people wait for a long time to get on this ride. Most rides in Casioland are outside except Gravity Shower, which has a covered waiting area. In this video, we are going to test if the two variables, waiting time and weather, are related. We will use the chi-square test to determine the independence of the two variables. In order to test this, we have collected the following information. 1. The data is taken between 1st of January and 31st December 2019. All the data is taken at 3 p.m. each day. 2. The weather is divided into 3 categories of sunny, cloudy, rain or snow. 3. The waiting time is also divided into 3 categories: short, long, or very long. 4. There are 327 days of data, excluding maintenance days. The organized data is shown in a table. Our null hypothesis is that waiting time and weather are independent. Alternative hypothesis is that waiting time and weather are not independent. Our degree of freedom is 4, and the significance level is 5%. Press the menu button to open the main menu, then move the cursor or press 2 to choose the statistics function. Press F3, test, then F3 again to select the chi-squared test. Press F2 to choose two-way. The chi-squared test screen is shown. Make sure Observed is highlighted, then select F2. The screen will switch to the matrix settings screen. Highlight Mat A, then press Execute to access Mat A dimension. Enter 3 for M and 3 for N. M is the number of columns and N is rows. Press Execute. Enter the data of our observed values. Once entered all the data, press Exit and Exit to highlight expected. Press F2 and then highlight Mat B. Press Execute and enter 3 times 3, like we have just done for Mat A. Pressing the Execute gives the expected values already calculated by the calculator. Press Exit, then Exit to go back the original chi-squared test screen. Then highlight Execute to work out the chi-squared value. Press F1 to calculate. From the chi-square distribution table, the critical value is 9.49 when degree of freedom is 4 and the level of significance is 5%. The chi-squared value calculated is 3.74, which is smaller than the critical value. Hence, we accept the null hypothesis, weather and waiting time are independent. In this video, we have shown how to calculate chi-square values, graphic display calculator, as easy as pie.
Did you get it right too? I hope you did. We are now finished discussing and demonstrating how to use graphing calculator in solving t-tests, in showing its normal distribution graph and the chi-square. Now it's your turn.
Now it's time to do your activity, and your output will be by district. Here's how the mechanics in doing your output. Solve the problem using your graphing calculator. Take a video on how you use the graphing calculator in solving the problem. Then submit your output in the given link by our TWG. Here is the problem for your activity. Teacher conducted the same assessment for their students in 2 classes, given below. A. Find the p-value for this t-test. B. Find if there is a difference of attainment of the 2 classes. Determine the result of the t-test at the 10 significance level. This is the same problem with the example number 1 that we have. I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to screenshots.
This is the end of our discussion. I hope we learned something today. It is true what they say that teaching is the noblest profession there is. As a teacher, I always believe in the saying, slowly is the shortest way to success. May we take in and accept slowly the changes and learn to be the best teacher as we can be, so that we can also mold our students to be the best version of themselves. This is Teacher Gillette saying, nothing can stop us from learning.